What up, Big Orange fans? Thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk a little bit about, um, whether or not we'll be a better team next year than we were this past year. A lot of unknowns on this team.
That's right.
We're going to dive into a bunch of them though. And beforehand, Bob, excited to have people back joining us right now, and excited to have a little bit more information about a giveaway we got coming up.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. We'll do a giveaway. Hopefully, we will have it here on our next video. That way, you can kind of see what we got, what we're giving away, and the details of how to enter it, to win it, and all the details of that. So,
So join us for
watch our next video. We should have it here for that one, and we just want to make sure we have it here. That way, it looks better.
well, you see what it is.
See what it is. Yeah.
All right. Bob, everybody wants to know. We're going to be better this year, worse this year, same as last year. So many unknowns. What's your first thing you're going to jump into today?
Well, when I start looking at that stuff, Tim, and this is something we talk about as much as we talk about anything. It's something we enjoy talking about. But normally we look at position groups, and then we look at, stopping the run, running the ball, passing the ball, stopping the passing game. And then the little things, did we get better in the coaching staff? Did we get better in special teams? Just the little factors that makes a difference.
And I think this year we do have some little factors that will be making the difference beyond just our position players and everything.
Right.
So we'll dive into that more toward the end, but let's just start off with.
We'll start it for each position group, and we'll just briefly go over each position group and kind of just say, hey, do we think it's going to be better? Is it going to be worse? Same? Is it a little bit of a difference?
Right.
Whatever. We'll start off with quarterback, and that one's going to probably be the hardest one to actually quantify on this.
We don't know who the corporate starter is. I mean,
we really don't.
We've got a better idea about every other starter on the team, just about.
Yeah. I think if I was to say, hey, I think we will be better at certain aspects of the quarterback position this year. There's certain things that Nico did last year that I think whoever starts for us this year will do better. And there's probably certain things that Nico might do better. I kind of feel like with three quarterbacks, now, two of them, one of them in particular, very highly rated. The other one's pretty dang highly rated. The third guy is the most experienced, probably the most experienced of the three.
Well, that definitely is.
Yeah. And he's the transfer. So, man, I tell you what, it's going to be really interesting to see how this comes out. I'm going to put it as even.
Yeah, I can see that, Bob. I'm going to lean just slightly better, but with the understanding of, I'm not predicting what. If you tell me, do I think Nico, if he was still here, how good he would be versus the guys we got coming in, I would say Nico in 2025 at Tennessee would be better than what we would get from any of the other three guys on campus right now. But if you ask me, just compare last year, then actual production, I expect very similar production with potentially just a little bit better.
Kind of what I'm thinking is we will start off slightly slower, but end product at the end of the year, I think will be better than what Nico was at the end of last year. That's my thoughts. Let's jump down to, let's go to, that one's kind of, let's go to running backs, Tim. Let's go running backs.
All right. Everybody realizes we lost Dylan Sampson. Had a monster year, SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Making some money on Sundays now. Obviously a big loss. But under Heupel, Bob, what's the one thing we can do and do well?
Run the ball. And that's mainly because of
The
scheme, I think from a, running game aspect, okay, this one's hard to quantify as well because I think the running backs are not as good as I don't think we have a single back that's going to be as good as Dylan Sampson. Okay, I'll go on the limb and say that.
Well, there's no one's going to hit 1,400 yards.
No, I think Dylan Sampson's better than any back we currently have here. Now, I think maybe as a group, our running backs could be better slightly than last year, slightly, because I think Bishop and Lewis should take good jumps. I think the big difference as far as this position group goes is talking about the next position group we're going to talk about. And that I think that will affect this one. So I'm going to say, from a production standpoint, I think this offensive running backs will do slightly better than last year from a production standpoint.
You talking about, so they'll go over 3,000 yards rushing?
I think it's possible.
But I would disagree. I don't think they will. I would not be surprised to have a better yard per carry.
Right. And I agree with that.
With that.
Yes.
Yards
per carry, I think
Dylan averaged 5.8, I believe it was.
Yeah.
To put it in perspective, the year before, Jalen had to average, I think, 7 yards a carry.
Yeah, he had.
I mean, it was a significant down step.
Yeah.
But now that said, Dylan, everybody knew Dylan was running the ball a lot of times, and
right.
that affects what you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he was beat up sometimes.
Right. Let's go to the offensive line, which is the next group we're talking about. I think the offensive line has a real potential to be better, maybe a good amount better. From a pass protection and run blocking aspect, I think it could be better. And that's where I'm banking it is on the running backs. I think we're just going to have better holes when we get down to needing some yardage. I think we just have better holes to run through. I think the left tackle is going to be better. He's lost about 20 pounds, and his biggest problem last year, he was too heavy and out of shape. Dealing with some injuries. Yeah. He should be maybe significantly better. I think David Sanders will be better than whoever we had out there last year at right tackle because they was hurt.
Well, Campbell was playing on a bad knee. I mean,
couldn't even make it through games.
Yeah.
So if he can't make it through games, how effective was he during the games? In the first half, not very effective.
Yeah, if you tell me a healthy Campbell versus David Sanders, I'm taking a healthy Campbell.
Right, I would too.
But that's not what we had last year.
I think the transfer from Arizona, Moy, I think he's going to be better than any interior offensive lineman we had last year. I think Pendleton will be better than, if he's at right guard, I think he would be better than our number 2 guard was last year. The center spot probably will take a step back from the starter last year, who was Cade Mays.
Yes.
Yeah. Cooper Mays. I was like, man, I kept wanting to say Cade Mays. I was like, it's not Cade Mays.
It's definitely Mays, though.
Yeah. Okay, Cooper Mays. So I think that part will takes a step back. But I think overall, I think our offensive line will be better.
I tend to agree with you.
And I think that helps the quarterback.
Yeah, well, it helps everybody.
Right.
But I definitely believe we're going to be better in pass protection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as though this will be better in our run blocking. They were very good at run blocking the last few years. The scheme itself is very good. I'm with you. I see a jump from Hurd. I see a big jump from Hurd. I'll be honest about it. And I personally think Wendell Moore might be our best offensive lineman, period.
Might be.
I have muted my expectations for David Sanders. He's a freshman. Athletically,
Most
gifted guy we have down there. So at least he has that. And he like Hurd, has changed his bodies also. He didn't lose 20 pounds. He's gained 20 plus pounds, and probably will gain another 5 to 10 before the season starts. He'll be around that 300 mark. But, does he still have man strength yet?
Right.
I'm sure he's developing it. And bottom line is, you got to know this is a technical offensive line.
Yeah.
We do so much pulling from multiple spots on the offensive line. Now, I can definitely see when we pull our tackles. I can see David Sanders getting out there if he can handle everything mentally. I can see him being a force in the run game.
Yeah.
Just on his pulling.
Right.
Maybe not straight at point of attack across from you, but uh, I'm going to go overall. Yes, we're better, but I definitely believe we're a work in progress on both, but particularly in the running.
Right. Uh, all right. Let's go to wide receivers then, and that's a position group that we have to get better production out of next year. I think that is the most disappointing probably position last year. Or,
Took like 2 years for me.
yeah. Maybe with quarterback. I'm not sure, but they're really close.
Well, I had questions about both quarterbacks going in. I had felt very confident about the wide receiver group both years.
Right. There's a lot of optimism about Staley at the slot. I think that's going to be an improvement over Squirrel White because I think if he catches the ball, he's not going to fall down. Florida State fans out there, get ready to watch Squirrel White catch a deep ball and fall to the ground.
Yeah, just watch. He leaps for everything.
He does. If his legs become paralyzed when the ball hits his hands, it's weird. But Mike Matthews, most talented wide receiver, more talented I think than any guy we had down there last year. Should have been playing more. I really do.
Well, he had some injury issues too that people wasn't aware of.
Yeah, minor stuff. But I really think they should have played him more, and they could have out there. I really think so. Brazel, second year in the program.
Yeah. Same thing said with Matthews, second year.
Yeah, should take a big jump. You got the freshman, Travis Smith, who I think is a future star here. That's big. Darius Jackson could very well be a star as well. Those five are going to be your five primary pass catchers, I believe.
Yeah, and really that's kind of that's kind of the issue is five all we're going to have.
I mean, you're probably right, but that might in some ways be a good thing because they're going to get a lot of reps.
Oh, they're going to be forced to the reps.
Right. Joakim
Dotson, he's be on campus now. He wasn't here for spring.
Yeah.
So we don't know what we're getting out of him.
Right.
And Amari Jefferson, who was one of the top wide receiver prospects a year ago, went to Bama, did not play, battled injuries, and was still battling surgery basically when he came up here and did not get to play in spring ball. At 100% go. So he's an X factor.
Yeah, I mean he could break the starting lineup, but it just seems like
we just don't know have any idea with him at all.
Right, we really don't. I mean, injury seems still. He might. I don't want to, say this, but he might be one of them guys who stays injured his entire career.
Well, we never know. But how, in comparison to last year, Bob? I mean, obviously, look, Dante Thornton is already, turning some heads in the Raiders camp.
Yeah.
There's not often you see some guy with that height to go with that speed.
Right.
And he proved it last year by one of the few bright spots on the offense with his big playability.
Yeah.
So can we get better without him?
Right. Let's go on the tight ends, Tim. And Kitzelman hurt, but from all things I've heard, he is ahead of schedule on his progression. So it looks like he will get slowly eased into fall camp and hopefully will be close to 100% come season. That's big. Ethan Davis, we've been calling for a breakout from him since he committed. So sooner or later, we hope he gets that. And when he does, we're going to pound the chest because we've been saying it.
Well, we have, Bob. But, I mean, he's a lot like Darrell Taylor several years ago.
Yeah.
You knew he was going to be really good.
We kept talking about him being really good, and then eventually he was.
Right, but we knew it was going to take a while because
Talent was there.
Yeah, but the size was not.
Right.
And size is something that, you put on in the weight room over a period of time. And that's part of maturing and getting older, and that's what's going on with Ethan Davis too. So
Well, I mean, with Davis, we go watch every spring game, and we look, and I'm looking for people that stand out. Ethan Davis stands out. You know, and usually those guys end up standing out during games at some point.
well, let me back up on some of that, Bob. Spring practice is also about people who stand out that you never hear from again too.
That's true. That is. But I'm talking about from a physical
Okay,
standpoint.
yes, from the eyeball, not
Not from a
production.
production,
Yeah,
but
not
from a physical standpoint.
yeah, not a guy that had 25 carries for 172 yards
Right.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you just force feeding them the ball against third string defense.
Right. I'm looking for guys who just pass the eye test. You know what I mean?
Right. When you say, hey, that guy's different.
Yeah.
And
I
even they
seen
different.
Omar Norman a lot when he first stepped on a lot.
Yeah.
And, on the field. I thought, man, that guy's pretty good. He passed the eye test.
That's a dude.
Yeah. So I mean, but I think that position will be better. Okay.
Well, we didn't lose a whole lot from that spot.
Right.
Because we did lose, what's his name from Notre Dame?
Yeah. Stays.
Stays, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hayden Stays. But he didn't do a whole lot.
Right. And Harrison, he's here back. Cole Harrison. They like him pretty good. He's just
Particularly
very
in the
young.
blocking game.
Very young.
And of course, we got the two freshmen.
Right. Right.
Which I don't expect a whole lot out of them.
No, I mean, tight end's
Difficult position.
different position, mentally and physically. Let's jump over. Let's go jump on over the defense, Tim. Let's start the defensive line, and I'm thinking we're going to be worse. But when I say that, I still think we'll be one of the top 10 defensive lines in the country.
Yeah, I'd agree 100% with that. Yes, we lose Omar Norman a lot. Yes, we lose James Pierce. Yes,
Right.
we lose a couple of other guys. That's a long time Big O.
Yeah.
There for a long time. Simmons, big Elijah. Productive guys
Right.
that I was glad to be here and wish we could still have them back.
Yeah.
That said, this is still a damn good defensive line.
Right. Bryson Easton's going to be really good. Jackson Moy, David Hobbs, former 5-star. I think you start seeing that talent level come in this year. I mean, you got some freshmen that are really high on that's going to play.
Mm-hmm. And then on the edges, you've still got Tyree West and
pretty much all
the people out there.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of looking for Weathersby to take a step this year, finally healthy again.
Yeah, he's that guy who we keep pumping up. Yeah. Hopefully,
he could be an X factor.
Yeah,
if Weathersby comes out and plays to the level I think he can, the defensive line may not take much of a step back at all.
I agree. Joseph, very good defensive end at the VO.
He'll be playing McNamara next year.
He will be. You got him. You got
Hurd. He's been there a couple of years now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a guy with a lot of talent.
He is a guy with a lot of talent, and I think we'll start seeing some splash plays from him. And of course, Jordan Ross.
Yeah.
He was a freshman last year. Blocked a punt. That was big. It showed a lot of athleticism.
Yeah.
Also had a horrible play in the Arkansas game that probably wound up costing us the loss and maybe even a home game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
One of the worst plays of the whole season, to be honest about
Right.
it. But as a group, that's an excellent defensive line.
Right.
We're not going to take a big step back.
All right, let's go to linebackers, Tim. And that's one position that especially if you look at it from mid-season on.
Well, that's the way you look at it.
I think so. We'll be better at linebacker.
I think we'll be significantly better at linebacker.
Yeah.
Kenyon Peely was not here long enough to really help us. Wish the best for him.
But we said going into the season last year, how many games do we get out of Kenyon Peely? We said it on this podcast.
Turned out not nearly enough.
Yeah. We knew that he probably wasn't going to make it through the season, and he didn't. But like I said, I think Carter, Tim, is a year better. I could see a jump from him. He's a guy who, Aaron Carter, I could see a big jump. T. Lander, steady 80. He's going to get better every year.
Yeah, he is.
But the guy
physical presence inside too.
The guy who has me excited here is Evan Spillman.
Been a huge Edward Spillman fan since his recruitment. I thought he was a star then. I think he's a star now. I believe the coaching staff last year thought he was a star. Uh, Stayed hurt right before the season. Um, he barely had time to get here, get his feet wet, and William Andrews was putting him on the field. Got hurt again, missed a good portion of the season. As soon as he got back, guess what? He's back on the field again in key situations.
Right.
William Andrews wants Evan Spillman on the field.
And I'm going to go on a limb. This may be considered a hot take, but I think Spillman's our best linebacker.
I do too.
And that's saying something from a guy who's going to probably be out who wasn't a starter for us last year, who's going to has to beat out one of them and be better than the other guys. So that's high expectations for a guy.
I just think the talent, overall talent, is young in this group with all the freshmen we had coming
But
in.
it may be the most talented position on the team now.
It's the transformation is tremendous.
Yeah.
In the talent level from when they got here to today, tremendous increase. That leads us to maybe what I think might be the best position group on the team, and that's defensive backfield. And it's hard to believe I'm saying that about our defensive backfield.
It's true.
But if compared to last year, Bob,
right,
better or worse?
I'm gonna say better, Tim. I think McCoy, as long as he's healthy, that's a big X factor.
Well, let's say he's at 90% of what he was last year.
From a physical standpoint. I think so. Because Gibson's going to be better. I think Gibson will be at least 10% better. Luke Carter, I think, could be a lot better. Turntine should not be any worse than he was last year. He should be better. Another year starting.
And we're replacing Will Brooks, who was
athletically not on the same level, but he did very well. Yeah, much better than I anticipated. I'll eat crow on that one.
But he was productive for the most part.
He was. Now, I will say that teams picked on him at times. But
and sometimes they paid the price.
So I think whoever goes in that position this year, I don't know if it's Farouk. Is it somebody like Caleb Beasley? I think physically will be faster, quicker. Will they be as heady as Will Brooks? Probably not.
No, they won't.
So that's the thing that Brooks gets you where you're supposed to be and would be where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm going with you. I'm thinking it's better, and I'm like you. I believe our corners are going to be very good. I believe Luke Carter becomes a star this year instead of being talked about being a star. I believe he is a star, and I'm a big Caleb Beasley fan. I think he's going to elevate the safety group, and I'm not trying to bypass Farouk, who, man, he brings the wood when he comes downhill to hit you. But and I think we've got maybe not super deep, but there's some guys off the bench that, bringing in Hood and Colton Hood and some others that I think we're good.
Right.
So, Bob, it goes right back, on that position groups seems like pretty good. Special teams, I think, though, I could see this having maybe. I've seen this at least the middle of the road in some publications.
Yeah.
And I think it's vastly going to be wrong.
Yeah, I don't understand why. Our punter, Jackson Ross, which I always get his name confused with our defensive end, that you just talked about. Those two, I don't know why I struggle with that.
Well, Jordan and Jackson, J. Ross.
But I expect...
Except Jackson's a better athlete, according to him.
Right.
Jackson thinks he's the best athlete on the team.
I keep waiting for him to do a punter sneak or pass or something. It's going to be the year this year. But I think he becomes more consistent.
Yeah, that's the only thing has hurt him.
He had some shanks, and not as many last year as the year before. But he had some shanks, and I think he corrects that, and that makes maybe an All-American type year from him. And that's huge. Yeah. You got Luke Carter's probably going to be punt returner, and if not, somebody else will be.
Why would you not be?
Only
except the fact that maybe he's an All-American and you don't want to get him hurt.
That would be the only thing from a rest point from playing offense and defense. They may not play him at punt returner, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I've not really heard one way or another.
Well, until I hear something, I'm gonna assume he is because I think he'll be the best punt returner in the country.
That could be, yeah.
Uh, and Max Gilbert back, you're better. Kickoff specialist back. Uh, Name just escaped me. I was thinking of it 20 seconds ago.
Right.
20 seconds ago, and it's already gone out of my head. Um,
But yeah, I expect.
I would say that last year's teams, Bob, I thought took a step back from what we've seen in coverage.
Right.
Is that something that we're going to see more of? Eckler's gone now.
Right.
He was a big part of that. Um, but that kind of brings us into the next thing we're going to talk about. Coaching staff additions at these primarily analyst positions. And I don't take anything from people like Robert Ayers, who was here and it had a lot to do with James Pierce becoming the player he was. But um, let's start with those special teams, Bob. We elevated Evan Crabtree, a young guy who's been there working on the special teams. We elevated him special teams coordinator. But to me, that's not the news in that department.
No, it's bringing in John Bonamego, I think was how you pronounce his name.
Correct.
That was a huge special teams hire right there.
It is. He's got like 34 years of coaching experience, and almost all of it's at the special teams spot. He's been on special teams coordinator or coach at 6 different NFL teams, and well, he's considered an innovator at the pro level in special teams.
Right.
I mean, it's a clear thing to me. They elevated the young guy, and but they brought in someone to mentor him and to teach.
Right.
So I expect that we're going to see not just an improvement on special teams. I believe special teams wins a ball game or two this year.
That's very well could. That's huge. Continuing on the coaching, we had two major hires on the defensive side. Let's go with Alan Williams. Tim, a former NFL defensive coordinator. At 2 or 3 different locations. I think it was Chicago Lions, Detroit Lions, I believe. Big time guy. And he's basically helped coaching safety.
He's taken over safety, basically.
Right.
Which has been really, I think, one of our, if I wanted an improvement on an area of the team over the last several years, safety would be at the top of that list for me. And it frees up Banks, which is, Banks still going to have a heavy hand in coaching safety, obviously.
Right.
But you've got that additional guy there, and it allows Banks to really help the entire defense now. So the addition of Alan Williams, not just, I think, improves that safety spot, but I think it also improves the entire defense because then you're freed up your coordinator.
I agree.
To help out multiple spots.
You mentioned losing Ayers, but we brought in Marion Ahabi, another former Vol, who has been a big-time coach and a big-time recruiter.
Oh, yeah, he has. Now, Robert Ayers, I think, had a lot to do with Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is, Ayers is in the process of trying to prove himself in the coaching ranks, and Hobby has been big time. Multiple defensive stops in NFL as defensive line coach, defensive defensive coordinator at Clemson during their best years. Massive recruiting guys, like you said. On this defensive line now with Garner, Hobby, Chop, we're getting better on the defensive line. It's one of the reasons I don't think we're going to see much of a step back.
Yeah.
Is because we've hired a major guy to come in and help develop that defensive line.
Right. Let's flip over to the offensive side on the coaching, and Seth Luttrell, Tim, we brought in from Oklahoma. Offensive coordinator. He had a
Well, he got fired at Oklahoma.
I mean, he got fired. He was in North Texas before that and
Head coach.
head coach, done very well there.
Well, he's been a
I mean,
rising star
he was for
until Oklahoma.
right. And he went to Oklahoma, but man, he kind of went into a no-win situation.
It turned out that way.
When your wide receivers get hurt at the rate they did last year.
They had either 5 of their top 6 or 6 of their top 6 wide receivers hurt at one time last year. And at no point during the season were they remotely healthy.
You do that to any college football program, and that's going to be devastating to the offensive attack.
Yeah.
You also had offensive line issues. That was enough to derail.
Yeah, because our offensive line probably is one of the worst in conference last year. Easily one of the worst.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was also, once again, injuries.
Now, there were some people that we follow, that former Oklahoma players, that wasn't huge on Luttrell, said his play designs were not the greatest. So I do want to throw that out there because I do respect those guys.
Well, I will say this, Bob, on those two who, once again, like a fart in the wind.
Teddy Lehman was one of them.
Yeah. I have seen them make some really interesting, well thought out arguments on things, and I have also seen them carry the Oklahoma water.
Right.
Also.
Yeah.
So
well, that's
and that's part of
fandom.
Being a former player and being fans. I see it out of our former players that sometimes get behind the microphone.
Yeah.
And you're only getting let's say just instead of orange colored glasses, you've got some red colored glasses out there.
Right. Yeah. But either way, huge addition.
Well, it is, Bob, because if you had to say what's one thing we got to do this year, and it's like we got to tweak our offense. We got to find some things. Our offensive coordinator is under a little heat this year. Joey Hasley has to produce, and
this is the first time I thought about this, Tim, just now when you said that. Luttrell could end up being a replacement.
What it could
for Halsley, because if Halsley don't get it done, there's a couple coaches on this staff that I think is a little bit on the hot seat. Halsley's one of them.
He's number one.
Pope's probably.
He's there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Luttrell, he also coached part of with Leach, so he has that connection just like Heupel does.
Well, him and Heupel has done a lot of coaching together.
Yeah.
And like I said, as far as being replacement, considering the guy was in Heupel's wedding party, he's a very close friend.
Right.
Heupel don't fire a lot of people, but he might to get his best bud, or one of his best buds, into the position.
True.
But the main thing is he better be able to fix things this year. I mean, that's what we need. We got to have some fresh ideas. And we brought in a guy who, knows the system basically.
Right.
So he's not having to learn on the fly. We're not going to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
But it's very important hire. And I think a very positive hire.
Yes.
So I believe our coaching staff takes a step up from last season.
I agree.
So, I mean, for the most part, Bob, and I know we've got our orange colored glasses on. I do today.
Right.
But I even though this is a team of a lot of unknowns, I see it being better at multiple spots from last year. The biggest one we don't know about, though, is that most important one, the quarterback spot.
Yeah.
But that said, guys, that's why we watch the games, see how it goes. And give us your opinions on the position groups and the coaching staff. What's better, what's worse.
Right.
Thanks for watching us again, guys. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with a friend. Let's get pumped up. I'm ready for football season.
Right. Go Balls.
Go Balls.